French tech is, I always call it like it was a vision, right? That was meant to be, it's better, like this, okay, good. That was a vision of the French state, and I'm specifically, who was the minister back then, which understood at that point that it was very complicated for state institutions, right, to have a real impact on the operation, like on the microeconomic aspect of businesses, right? And France was actually getting, I would say, older and older, right, in the industry and in the economical, I would say, impact that we're getting across the world. And something had to be done, right? And they came out with this initiative, which at first was truly just, let's push it out there, right? Put a nice name to it and see what comes out of it. And the French tech 10 years ago in 2013 was meant basically to bring the decisions or the changes of the market from bottom up and not do it the other way, which was as usual, from top to down. And it was, okay, let's build communities, local ones. So it started in France, obviously, right? So you had communities all over, the French region where they recruited is a big word. They asked for volunteers, right? Rather, entrepreneurs, right? Local ones that understand their local ecosystem, understand the needs, understand the markets that they are in at their scale, right? We're not talking about unicorn and whatnot as we are right now. We're talking about how we can, make the entrepreneurial journey more friendly, more guided, right? More supportive, but also more open to, different sides of the society. And so since then it grew, right? 10 years later, just to, fast forward, after building communities across, the country, then some of them became capitals, right? So capitals means that, like French tech capitals means that they are basically fully financed to operate with a team that is basically financed directly by the institution.
So then we talk about Paris, Lyon,
Clermont-Ferrand. I mean, some hubs, right? And
yeah, the notion of
exactly. Yeah, it's a hub, right? Because even in Paris, basically, you don't have like only the headquarters, which is in Station F, right, which is considered a capital. This is, where I would say the big decisions come from, yeah. But then you have whole hubs that are together, right, around Paris that are aggregating, bigger communities. So the capital appeared. So you had this distinction between communities, right, which were led by volunteers, and the capitals, which were people working, to push that agenda, of entrepreneurship, further down the region, right? And then it was pushed to international communities, and that's, what we are here today. And the international communities was, we have a lot of French talents around the world, which are actually, or not only French, or very connected to French, or, we have several examples here in our team, right? That basically want to gravitate towards that, want to enable, right, the French identity, they connect to it, they identify to it, and even in the way that they do business between somehow French people. And this is why we had that, I would say, sometimes bad image about French people, right? Because they stay together, and if you speak French, then, you're in that club, and then...
Their English is word.
It's about the English. You said good, yes.
There is no problem.
Everything is fine. But that's how it started. And then basically what they realized was like, we already have those existing groups, right? And I have to say that, I'm talking about that, and then I will shut up and pass it on. But this is how our group as well came up, right? Is that you have those existing groups that are already doing things together, right? And tech was becoming more and more a consistent sector, right? That France wanted to go towards and wanted to be one of the top. But to do that, you cannot just rely on your internal population, right? You need those people that are abroad, that see different things, that have a different way of seeing, doing business, of, seeing the world, right? And bring those people in, right? And this is the only way that you are able to compete on a global stage, because you are able to understand and assimilate those differences to be able to run your business, right? And that's how the communities were born, right? And right now, across the world. You're going to have 62 international communities, right? Scattered across the 5 continents, right?
You're going to have 50 countries.
Something like this, yeah, about 50 countries. And you're going to have about 5,000 entrepreneurs that are running them. Right, and I'm talking just about the volunteers, right? I'm not talking about the capitals that then are located within France, right? So then it's a mix of entrepreneurs and and administrative people, right? You have over 60 correspondents that are French Tech, and correspondent, it means that this is administrative people that are linked to the French Tech, right? No matter if they are helping us on the international scale or administratively, for example, at the economic ministries or tourism or affairs, you have all those connections, right? So it started to very much, let's say, grow like a spider net, right, or a virus, whatever you like, and just spread it again and like more and more and more. And right now, like the plan was that by 2025, yeah, we were supposed to get 25 vehicles, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, and last year we reached 28 of them, right? And this is not from, I would say, coming from the sky, or just luck. It's the idea that if you have the proper network of talents, right, and you pour money that you can lose, and in this case the states, right, they are allowing themselves to lose that money, then failure after failure, you're actually
drive all the investors.
Exactly, right? Absolutely. This is exactly what Poland will, I guess, talk about it, what Poland has been trying to do as well for the past 6 years, right? To change their approach towards investment via the institution, because the institution is willing to lose that money, right? And so France did the same, but being a more mature market and having all these entrepreneurs able to basically push forward, we arrived to this incredible result, which is like, it's not because it's French Tech, but it's really truly incredible, where this year France overtook Germany in terms of investments in the tech, and in Europe in terms of leadership.
Yeah, in absolute value.
In absolute value, but who would think about that, let's say just 5 years ago, that Germany would be overtaken, economically speaking, investment-wise by France? Impossible.
I just, if I may, I would just like to just say one thing, that it was some kind of political decision that was taken, and that action was taken in France, and the idea for putting out these startup communities out in the world, it was for me, as I think about it, that was a quite genius idea to activate all around the world the francophones, the French people, the francophones, and the people invested in tech issues, but not only, also the francophone and francophile, all around the world, and just also merging this governmental world with the private sector, and just doing so much. It was a great idea that led to people all around the world to just take action and spread the idea of French Tech. When I think about it, the idea is kind of genius, right? Because all around the world, people are working towards making this
and for free.
Exactly.
And that's the beauty.
Is it?
I just want to say one mistake I made at the beginning. I said Anne Pellerin, which is Fleur Pellerin, obviously, which was, I wanted to correct myself, please.
Fleur, si tu nous entends.
Fleur, si tu nous entends, it's Fleur Pellerin who started this
message.
Because I don't know if any other country, let's say America or China, I don't know if they have similar programs that reach out to so many countries in the world.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
In terms of network, is a crazy network, because, as you said, it's like worldwide, but it's kind of like having the most knowledgeable people that are really from the field, and it's not theoretical. And this meeting in between the government institutions and those private, that in general the small one, because of course there is the unicorns in the middle, but they were already all connected. It's the beauty of the French Tech is not there, even if it is the biggest indicator that works well.
Yeah, because our team shows that.
That make really the people from the field, the small one, in contact with the institution and give a vision that is close to what are all the blockers we're meeting on everyday basis, and to unlock it. The most complicated is to have the problems under the radar. Once it's identified, which is not that complicated to manage with the proper will that goes behind. You see that this is the
Manu.
ring. Is Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, you know, I was
Emmanuel.
number 7, right?
Because
Number 6, so we are 8 in total, yeah?
Oh, Emmanuel, so the 7th member of the French Tech. Mets ton poulet, mon grand. But your roster.
Une chose à la fois, une chose
It's
à la
okay,
fois.
you're not stressed.
No, 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 so sorry.
Because
I'm so sorry.
there's my mother, there's a mother Walid watching us.
That's all a family thing,
So,
And thousands of our followers.
and we always talk about you as an example here, as in the
And
program.
not today, obviously.
Tell us about the traffic in Warsaw. How it is.
At this hour, horrible.
Horrible?
Horrible. Yeah.
Surprisingly, or is every day like this?
I think it's yeah, especially today. Usually I don't have traffic problems.
Do you think we organized it to...
We trapped you.
Tell us a bit about double prąd. So double prąd is in Polish means
The good energy.
the good energy. It's not electricity per
Electricity, yeah, more specifically electricity, yeah.
Okay. Tell us a bit about this. When did you set up?
Well, we just put you in, man. Yeah, we push it out straight, you know?
I have people around me, you know, I just talk about dobre prąd.
Double prąd. So one entrepreneur.
A long adventure, but basically what we do is that we match energy users with energy providers, and it's interesting because the model, the company, the clients, everything evolved over time. We started with B2C clients at the beginning until we realized that what we thought we could do, meaning scaling by attracting a big number of clients with a small margin per client, didn't work. We couldn't automate it, so then we had to completely switch the model and to go towards B2B clients, small companies at the beginning, hairdressers, restaurants, hotels, then going into bigger clients. And now we reach a point where basically we're connecting electricity producers, renewable electricity producers on one hand, with big companies that are electricity suppliers in Poland. Known names among the top 5 state-owned companies or other alternative electricity suppliers. So yeah, long adventures to summarize.
We will put the link in the comments, but to tell us about you now. Who are you? You're French, you're Polish, you're both, you're like, you live in France. What is your link with France?
My link with France, my father's French, so I was born French. As you know, my mom is Polish, I'm French and Polish. I was born in Krakow actually. I lived, and I had an interesting childhood because I moved a lot. So I was born in Krakow, moved to, when I was 2 years old with my parents, to Lisbon, Portugal, where we lived 7 years. Then we moved to Strasbourg in France 3 years. So that was the first time I actually lived in France. I was 9 years old. Then we moved to Poland, Warsaw, which was basically the place. There's no place on earth I can call home as someone who would live all his life, obviously, as most of you. Yeah, Europe, but Warsaw is a good place. And then later on Spain and Barcelona, and moved on to the US later on after my studies in France, and spent some time in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Also,
It's telling a lot to our followers how Warsaw is cool. So finished.
It's very Caribbeans to Warsaw.
Actually,
New York,
just to rebound, but I think that Warsaw is the New York of Central Europe.
Cleaner,
if not Eastern,
much cleaner.
And do you remember the first time? Actually, this is a funny story. The first time I've met Walid. So yeah, he set me up a meeting at the CIC just to make sure that I'm a nice guy and we can go to drink later on. So I thought that was a nice chap and it would be nice to get to know him.
Yeah, just very funny is that, the guy contacts me out of the blue, right? And the message is like, oh, you look like a nice chap, let's meet. No one ever called me a nice chap, so I'm like, I'm not meeting that guy face to face, I'm gonna put him within a crowd.
We've been given a prize, so it's I wasn't hitting you on LinkedIn. Just,
I know, yeah.
just
We were giving a prize.
You never know.
We were giving a prize. That's okay.
We all try.
actually a new thing maybe. Use LinkedIn as a new way to match in different ways. But
This is how we did, yeah.
But do you remember we ended up having drinks with Fred also, who's not here unfortunately tonight, and at some point we ran into some people speaking in Spanish looking for Teatro Cubano, which is a salsa place in Warsaw. And when Walid asked where they were from, they just randomly said from Cuba.
Aha.
Yeah.
Here it
So
was.
yeah, Warsaw is changing very quickly.
Yeah. That's true. But all that to say, this is why we choose all of us Warsaw, because none of us is really from Warsaw. You are from Warsaw,
Yeah, I'm also too.
But
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, Warsaw. I don't know if you can call that Warsaw. But yeah, that's why we did choose this place, because it's a very, very, very peculiar place. Like, why you don't realize it when you don't experience it, but once you are in it, it's a very special place. Like, I mean, compared to, for example, the guys in Krakow are gonna hate me, but compared to Krakow. No, not that Krakow.
Problem in Krakow is people like you and me, not looking locals. We propose like a ride on the horse every 5 minutes. I can't live there. It's impossible.
No, it's just very historical. It has
It's very
history,
touristic.
you know. And so Warsaw, you can make it your own, and that's what makes the difference here is that you can truly make it your own. Because from when I arrived to Warsaw 8 years ago, the city looks totally different. The population that is here is totally different.
That's true.
And you basically evolve with it constantly, and therefore you can really make it. You can carve out your little spot in it.
Mhm.
You can really okay, that's mine, right? And it's you can move around it and so on. But anyway, it's not about Warsaw.
I just want to ask, how long are you here in Warsaw, like all of you?
Oh, yeah, that's
You're
true.
not,
That's a
so
good question. Carolina, start.
So how long are you here?
3 years now?
Seriously? Only?
Yeah, I moved here just to take up the job that I have now that led me to be in French Tech.
Tell us about this, because we were about to talk about you before.
Yeah.
Manu just like bombed
I
our
gave an
organization.
idea, so now I have to do the job, right?
Manu, remember his name. Tell us about you a bit, like what are you doing? How did we meet, join, and
Yes,
Which is
so
our-
it all goes to Krakow, to the founders of the Polish satellite of French Tech, right? Because actually, my job is I work for Economic Forum, which is a big economic conference here in Poland that's been held for 30 years now, each year. One of the biggest in this.
Carpatch.
Yeah, now it's in
It's
the
the Polish
Carpatch,
Alps.
but it's like let's say, but it's a quite big conference dedicated to the politicians and representatives of the business and industries and also experts from the scientific field. And actually, how it all led me to be here around you, it's because this job, what basically I have to do is to navigate through all of the French representatives here in Poland and also through whole France. I don't know how to say it because I always say that I'm in charge of France. And
That's simple.
that's simple and complicated as well.
There is Manu, and there is Carolina.
Because I'm in charge of all the potential relations that we may have to invite all the guests from whichever field, actually, to be honest, to join the conversations that are held each year here in Poland. And also we do a lot of different projects as well throughout the year. So that's not only the one conference that we are organizing, but
this is the biggest, and after
that is the biggest one, and then we have different projects throughout the year.
So yourself, you speak French.
Yeah, I'm not great at it, and I really started to speak French again, like when I was offered that job, and that made me to go to French again and to try to speak it, because really I don't know, when people ask me why French, I cannot say it. Why? Because it was just You may say that it's cheesy, but it's the matter of heart. I didn't choose it by my brain, and I didn't.
You just like it.
I just it just clicked. It just clicked. I went to France. I
met
started
somebody.
to. No, that's not even the case. I don't know why. I have the soft spot for that, and that's it. I don't. It's not in the somehow reasonable that I might say why. I don't know. Yeah. So that's it. And now I'm here because I want to just go to the Krakow people. So I'm in charge of somehow organizing all the relations with France, let's say broadly. So I knew about the French Tech. I checked it out, and once upon a time I was in Paris. Something was held. Some event was held in Polish embassy, and I saw Romain, who is CEO of French Tech Krakow. So we were, I think that, or we were introduced to each other, or I approached him. I don't recall right now, but I think that we started to talk. I invited him to come to Karpacz. He came back, and then one day I get the phone call that he asked me to maybe speak to a certain guy named Walid Balsquad because he sent me because he sent me his number, and it was just from his phone, and it was Walid Balsquad. So I for the a long second I thought that it was your surname. So, then I understood that's the case, and that's the long story short, and that's how I'm here.
Yeah.
Absolutely interesting and different profile. You joined the French Tech as a board member.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about you. Who are you? What are you doing here? What are you doing in Orange? That is probably one of the biggest corporate in Poland.
So about me first, so I'm Lou. I actually came to Poland 10 years ago, more or less. Like I started at the same time as French Tech, so actually we have the same milestone. And I came here by, I wouldn't say by mistake, but it was not planned at all. I was like randomly thinking, what would I do as a first job? There was a guy who seemed cool in Poland, doing cool things around, tech products and B2B marketing products, and I thought, okay, let's do it. I didn't know anything about Poland, literally anything, maybe some basic history. I came there. I came here actually to Warsaw, and in fact, so to Orange, Polska. It was such a big event that there was an article in the Gazeta of the company about me, because I was the one French person, and they were like so amazed I'm coming here. Like, why are you here?
Yeah, we hear that often.
Yeah.
Lost person, if anyone knows.
No, really.
Are you sure you want to come?
Actually, for the little joke, friends of my parents, no hurt, no harm, really, but they were saying, did she get punished? Why is she, And then we were explaining, but Poland and Warsaw is such a big hub, and actually back then, 10 years ago, we already were, for instance, paying with credit cards when France already started with COVID,
Yeah.
So in fact, Poland was 10 years ago before France on all these things around banking, around tech, around e-health. Right now we can see, and I'm not teaching anything to anybody, how digitalized the government is, the profiles are fine and so on. Go to France and it's not like that. You still need to go and take an appointment and go to the office. Anyway, coming back to me, so my story is that I kind of fell in love with this country without knowing why, and I mean, why. I explained why. I also met my husband, who's Polish, so that helps to learn the language. Not the weather, no. No. And the second thing is about Orange. So actually, Orange is a dear company to me. I tried to leave it actually 3 years ago. I left to Capgemini. I did some consulting. And I came back because in fact it's quite great. And when I think it's quite great, and I'm coming back to your question actually, I think we are a company which is calling itself not anymore a telecom company, but we are calling ourselves, or willing to call ourselves, a tech company. And I think that Orange is doing a lot of things, but many corporates, so we can go to that, but I can speak about what I know. We are trying to launch some incubators for startups. We have Orange Fab, which is in Poland, for instance, and we are kind of supporting startups to grow at the early stage. We have also some accelerators that we are starting to launch in Poland. So, in my opinion, this is a company which was always caring about, we are more than telecom. We are more than providing you just a mobile. We want actually to provide you whatever you need in your tech life. And for me, it was just natural to join French Tech, I think, because the startups and this universe is so key for us, it's so rich, that I feel like we are learning from each other. And this agility that we sometimes lack in the big groups, we are actually getting in. And for me, personally, since I started this journey, I feel like whenever I meet with you, I come back with fresh ideas, with new things. So it's also a cool personal journey. Poland is a big market. In fact, for instance, speaking for Orange, this is our first, our second European market. The first is Spain, but then it's Poland already. And frankly speaking, after it's...
not counting France, obviously.
No, yeah. France is a bit specific, sorry. But generally for us, in terms of European scope and outside of France, Poland is huge. In fact, it's starting to go in front of Spain, actually, in terms of growth, in terms of even digitalization, because we are talking about tech, so we are even going ahead, and well ahead in front of other countries, in the Eastern Europe. And quite often I hear, at least in the corporate world, that Poland is not Eastern, but it's rather Central Europe, and rather we are looking at France than at Slovakia, for instance, to compare ourselves in Poland. So, in my opinion, it shows how the country is developed and advanced. In terms of big corporation, we have a lot, though it's difficult, I would say, because there is also a very strong Polish market, I would say, which is growing. A lot of national companies which are growing. So, for companies like Carrefour, Auchan, even though we are well implemented, I feel there is also much more competition. And if I speak about Orange again, also here we have a lot of local actors which are starting to, including Play a few years ago.
If I understood in telecom, there is very regional implantation. You have some actors that are like just for one area, basically.
Yes.
That's also a difference in between me and the Parisian, So it's, in France, everything is centralized really in Paris. I know Romain, you can comment, and Lyon, a bit. But in Poland, in fact, it's the first time I have really to travel to Poznan, to Wrocław, to Krakow, a bit to Krakow, to the Free City, Gdynia, etc. It's pretty like more dispatch, less centralized than we have in France.
Sorry. I was invited to the local government, forum, right? And it's happening again this year, organized by Karolina in March, right? So if you guys want to take your tickets. But basically there you have the guys from Orange and you had the guys as well from Play, obviously, that were there. And they were talking about how the Polish state, or regionally, actually, to try to bring that centralization and the same level of access to the telecom, right? Internet, and so on. They rely a lot on those big corporates, right? And Orange is at the helm of it, right? Orange is basically, from what I heard on those debates and those panels and so on, they are the main locally. They are the main partner of local institutions to run, those projects where they're going to develop, the local fiber and things like this. Because of course they don't do it from the kindness of their heart, obviously. If you're the person that is basically setting it up, then you have a certain exclusivity for a certain decade, to run it and exploit it. So we all agree on that. Obviously that's business.
But nevertheless, it's making Orange the biggest foreign investor in Poland.
Exactly. So that's what it does.
Technically.
Something. Absolutely. So this is, the French impact at the end, of course we're expanding here out of the just tech, right? Because it's more of, construction as well and so on, but still it shows that, we're still in the game.
But at the same time, for tech to work, you need to have the network.
Absolutely.
So in fact, we are, as you say, we are laying the groundwork.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
Marta, tell us about you. So you're Subco and Co.
Yes, it's a digital marketing agency.
Yeah.
So, I'm Polish. I was born and raised in Poland, and then I moved to Paris, where I was studying, and then where I learned to speak French, and I created my first company, which was the startup that failed. But then it was exactly 10 years ago when I was in Paris then, and I was like remembering this when you told about the beginning of French Tech, because the Parisian startup scene was then like bustling, and there were so many opportunities, and I really spot the opportunity between like Poland and tech talent in Poland and like the need for digital services in France. So I created the digital marketing agency that is now based in Warsaw, and it's been 10 years. As I said, we are a team of 30 people, and we work with like French companies, like French corporates that are based in Poland, and some French SMBs or startups that are based in either like France or Switzerland, like the francophonic countries. So this is what I do.
And Walid has a question here. I don't look at him, but I know you want to. So you had a startup that failed, and
Yes.
that is fantastic.
What
is the biggest outtake you had from this failure? Basically about failure, facing the failure, something that didn't succeed the way you wanted.
Well, I learned a ton about like running a startup, managing people, not getting along with like investors and co-founders who were also professors at Sciences Po. So it was like a very painful lesson, but at the end I came out like much stronger, with like very strong belief in my capabilities to recreate the business very quickly and like to pay off my debt. So it was like at the time it was like super stressful because I had no idea what to do with like my employees, and it was like a
Was it in France or it was here already?
It was in France. I was in Warsaw back then. I was like in between Paris and Warsaw. And the company, it was in Poland.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was like, I think that was one of the most difficult experiences that I had, but like very, very nice lesson learned that you can just,
Yeah, I was mentioning you, Walid, because you're a lot attached of this to the sharing the experience, sharing the pain particularly, because
Sharing the struggles.
Tonight we are sorry, we're like just example of failures around the table, because the only one that succeeded is Fred.
Exactly, the only one that succeeded is
Martino camping at la plage. So Fred is the 8th member, is like Park for Night, that is a portal for people with their vans and caravans to find and to share in the community where to park for tonight with the facilities that are well designed for their vans.
Or in the nature or things like this.
Yes, how many millions?
It has 7 million users, right?
Active
He's number
users.
one in the world.
Exactly.
He's like number one in the world. He has like billions
So
of views.
as he's successful, from time to time he come to visit us. Guys,
The numbers were crazy. We started to think that he's making them up, but that's not
But
the
he
case.
he has the numbers. But I wanted to say something because we're not gonna stay too long on Fred. He's not here, so sorry for him. No, but really, he was actually one of the initiators of the idea with Mish over here.
Yeah,
They are, that's him and Fred that came to me the first time say, shouldn't we do that, right? We can talk about it a little bit later. But what I want to say, because we're talking about introducing Marta. About Marta is basically the discrepancy that how she is perceived and the way that she came to this spot and the deepness of entrepreneurship that she has. More you spend time with her and more you understand basically what is a real entrepreneur.
Yeah.
The capacity to reinvent and to move.
The moving force.
The moving force, is so crazy. Within Marta is insane. I didn't know until recently that she was an AI geek. She's an AI geek, and she basically. But for everyone to know, she's a digital agency, but this is just the facade of it. Because the reality is that as soon as she saw the wave of AI coming in, she basically shifted her business towards that. Still calling herself, a digital marketing agency, but you basically deliver mostly, AI-related projects.
Well, we do a lot of AI. And I created an AI lab within the company. Because,
and your push,
Yes, and but because I'm a very curious person and I like to learn, and it's such a important wave in technology that will like forever shift how we do marketing, how we create things, how we think about the data, the campaigns, the creative assets. So for me, obviously that was like a new field to learn and to explore, and like we actually created like 4 little AI tools within the company we are really proud of. So yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for the kind words.
No, but this is so true because often we often display, the big entrepreneurs, right? The ones that make billions, right? And that make those big, fundraising and things like that. Because not to, you're not an entrepreneur,
Not yet.
So, in terms of the example of, let's say, an overlooked entrepreneur, right? I would definitely say Marta, right? Because due to the fact that you are, a female founder, right? And you had failures all the time, and then you went towards marketing, right? And marketing is often an overlooked, sector, right? This is the first
I
one
wouldn't say that I feel like I'm overlooked. But I do agree with you that there was such a hype towards like VC-backed businesses.
Yeah.
And people are like bragging about like, I raised this and this amount of money.
What did you do with it?
They didn't deliver anything, right?
Yeah.
But now I believe that within the crisis, the economic crisis, people tend to spot more like bootstrap businesses.
Yeah.
Like I run a bootstrap business. I've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
We work with huge clients. Like we did like amazing campaigns and I have really nice things. So like personally, I do not feel like overlooked, but I do believe that like there's gonna be shift in entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
And the perception of businesses.
Yeah.
And like independent bootstrap businesses who really deliver like, value and have like profitable EBITDA and still growing and have the business continuity, long-term business with clients.
Yeah.
That's gonna be like the new unicorns, even they are not like unicorns by the numbers, right?
Yeah. But even the way that we got you into the team, you know what I mean? Is like not that you were like a strong LinkedIn personality that was all over the place.
I don't have time for it.
Exactly. And then it's like through connection, and then she comes into the team, and you're like, who the hell is this? It's just big, This is really like so for any young female looking at entrepreneurship, Marta is, the example to follow. And this is like really true. It's impressive what you're doing. So that has to be stated. Yeah. So.
Thank you.
Now let's continue about this. It's quite impressive. But let's talk about Iran.
Okay.
Basically I'm linked to France because I spent there like maybe over 20 years. I moved there when I was 4. I moved to Paris, the region, and I stayed there for over 20 years. I studied in Lille, north of France. Then I had the opportunity to travel somehow. I spent a couple of months in Canada, in Montreal, during my studies. Then after my first work, I spent a couple of months in South America. I came back to Paris and then I said, okay, maybe I should move somewhere.
So you see the scale here, Warsaw is on the top. Huh?
Yeah, but actually when I was in Paris, I said, okay, I have to move somewhere because I want to move somewhere now. And I said, okay, I'm Polish, I never lived in Poland actually. Maybe the first 4 years that were not maybe the ones that I remember the most. So I moved to Warsaw and I worked in different businesses.
How long ago you moved here?
It was 2004, so it's like 20 years now. Yeah, so I've seen the changes because I was coming back. I was coming back to Poland.
So 20 years in France, 20 years in Poland, plus your studies, you're retired?
Yeah.
You look
But I'm not that great here, that's a problem. But I've seen the changes in Poland. That's interesting because at the beginning when I was living in France, I was coming back to Poland every year for holidays, so 2 or 3 times a year. And I was coming to Poland, I remember in the 80s when we have to pass the border already in Germany, the border that was over 1 kilometer long, people, with rifles all around.
That was the way to pass?
Yeah, it was the way to pass. You have to pass from Western Germany to Eastern Germany. And well, I was...
It's not a long time ago, it's 25 years ago.
Yeah, and I was a little guy there, but I remember, these people that were controlling the cars, everything. That was sometimes dismantling the cars. So you were passing the border and said, okay, please don't dismantle my car. Because they were just putting it apart. No, believe me, they were putting it apart looking for, some things that you might want to get from one side to the other. But then they said, okay, we didn't find anything. So we'll leave you this dismantled car. Just put it back together and you can go further. Yeah, so that was crazy time, but I've seen the Poland changing a lot. So Warsaw was changing a lot. All the other parts of Poland were not changing so much. They are changing like for the past 20 years. So that was very interesting. And then when I came first to Poland to live here, I started with a somewhat different business because I started with a car restoration company.
Because of the dismantled car. There is some business over there.
My family was in the car business, so I always liked this business and automobiles and everything. So we had a nice company for over 7 years, working with Jaguar, Mercedes, Aston Martin, Ferraris. What a nice company running for 7 years. So it was not tech, but I started with that. And then I moved to tech, doing different businesses around tech, around some startups and the web, different businesses. And the last one, I'm actually quite advanced now with this business, is a business around audiobooks. We created with some partners a system to borrow audiobooks for libraries, public libraries. It's a blockchain-based systems. We sell to libraries and are able to rent audiobooks just like you would rent a real book. Mm-hmm. So we are taking this audiobook, making a token out of it, and this token can be borrowed to any of you for 2 weeks, then goes automatically back
to the library. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
yeah,
exactly.
That's right.
Because we have been doing this like for an hour or so, and I would like to put this on you. Like, who are you? What's your story? Can you like tell what you do? Because we've been like, Oral is our host today, and we are at his office, as you can see. Rebellion is the company that he runs. So you've been asking us questions. Tell us your story.
My story. So to focus on the part is like I'm an entrepreneur, but I'm an entrepreneur in consulting. Basically, I aim to build a small generalist consulting firm that give value to technology. Okay, because it's good to have good developers, good knowledge about the technology. It's good. It's one business, but to monetize it, to build new ideas, new systems, is what we bring to our customers. And I'm very jealous of you guys because you have ideas and you have the force to basically to push your idea from an idea to a reality. Us, we are like delivering our ideas to our customers, and we help our customers to make it reality, or at least to implement their ideas. We complete it as soon as there's some reality sometimes that we can get. I strongly believe that technology is just a mean, but when you are like well educated on technology, you can find better shortcut, both better money investment. If you have an idea, in fact, you try to express it. And in general, when I see in the consulting world, we take exactly what you expressed to make it like real. We try to reanalyze why you did express this. Maybe you wanted something that just acquire the data of a customer. You just expose it through a form and say, okay, this is the form I want to do. But to try to understand, to say, wow, but this data exists already. We can just query this API. We don't need the form. And instead of expensing, I don't know, a month of development on this, just like 2 days, you run this. Oh yeah, it's fine. It's fulfilling what we want.
So your business is to shortcut your clients' growth?
To dynamize it. Yeah, to dynamize it.
Just to say that, exactly as we said it at the beginning, in the idea of how the French Tech came from groups that already existed, right? It was exactly the same process with our group. The idea of the French Tech Warsaw did not come from me, it came from Fred and Mich, right? I call him Mich because it's Michel or Michał, and I prefer Mich. So this is why I cut it at the middle.
Yeah. You don't have to decide.
Exactly, I don't have to decide.
It could be Mich.
No, Mich is good. And it came from them because we used to, we met about 5-6 years ago, when I was basically starting
the pizza?
Yeah, having pizza and beer when I was starting my startup actually. And we met there, in one of the
factories.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we always met again and kept contact and so on. And 2 years ago, We are at the Venture Cafe, one of our partner, actually Venture Cafe Warsaw, that helped us as well build this group and this entity. We're talking, and the guys come to me, it's like, yeah, man, you know, like, we're in Warsaw, there is French Tech Krakow, you know, and there is no French Tech Warsaw. It makes no sense. Yeah, like, we have to do something. This is the biggest ecosystem, and so on. I'm like, you know, another institution, you know, and stuff like this. Why would we do that? I have enough problems in my life to handle, you know, why would I do that, you know?
And then we told him, you can be president.
Yeah. Okay.
Champagne for everybody.
Let's do it. Let's go. They had,
Get closer to the mic.
they had the right argument, yeah. The only one that was needed. And then basically from that, the idea stayed there. And then I talked with Romain Robou, who is the president of the French Tech Krakow. And from him, then I was like, you know, there is Aurélien that is sitting right here that said that if something was going to start in Warsaw, he would be happy to help, right?
It is important to explain that his mandate of 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's every 3 years.
Yeah.
So when I met with Romain, was already a year.
Yeah.
And we had to wait 2 years basically. And it was like pending, waiting for this new wave coming.
And we knew each other very quickly. We had a breakfast together before that and so on.
Yeah, with our député, Frédéric Petit.
Yeah, but
And after
yes,
where we met.
then we exactly, yeah. And so we meet here in his office, and I'm like, okay, listen, this is what we want to set up, you know. And then, you know, I tell him what we want to do, and he's like, yeah, I'm up to help, right? You know, like, just let's push it forward and see how things go, right? Manu was basically at that moment, we were working in the same office, you know, seeing each other very often. He's in the tech, he's in the, you know, renewables. And
You were a nice chap.
You know, a nice chap, you know, exactly, yeah. And, you know, the team started to come together because we were already, you know, all willing to do something for the local community, local market. And then it was, you know, the last pieces, Fred.
Women.
You know?
Yeah, but true. No,
But it's true, but why?
yeah, the
There's no
story
quota
about
for-
the story about women is also interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting.
We were 5, I think, 5 men.
Yeah, we were 5
we
men.
knew
5 men.
each other. We said, okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
And then we wanted to apply, and they
Yeah.
told us, okay, but there has to be 30% women.
40%.
40%, sorry.
It crossed your mind before?
No, but hey, listen, that's true. No, but no, we don't have to know. No,
It's interesting.
It's super interesting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Let me explain.
You have to go to the It's very bad.
Let me explain that.
Let's stop that train.
Yeah, I am the oldest here, so my generation is like. This is a very good example because I'm really for like having parity and diversity and all of this, and my team you see around me on the staff is essentially women. I prefer to work with women in general, but here specifically, I've thought in the past that if I was a woman and I was like proposed because we need to have quota because there is no, that would really bother me. In fact, this is the demonstration that no, this is like factual. We got to know you, ladies.
Yeah, that's
Maybe
what
you
I
were like
like.
more like focus on what you were doing, etc. And we're very happy to have you on board. You're bringing even more knowledge than what we can bring, and you're essential today in the team as
Yeah, but the
we are.
truth is, we didn't know it.
We didn't know it.
Tech.
And even more, as I said, we are in tech, yeah, and we are basically only between guys, right? We want to, you know, basically start something. And to be frank, in my surroundings before, and all of us, right, before we actually started to get really into building the community, I had no girl, no woman whatsoever, right, that was at your level, right, that I had a direct access to, that I could say, oh, listen, come, you know, with us, and let's basically do that in a fun way. Because the whole principle, and I think you see it today, but I don't need to tell you, you know that we have been, you know, together for quite some time now. We are fun people, and we try to make it fun, and we try to make it very informal. When you bring someone in that is not supposed to be, you know, a direct friend or someone that you know personally, it's very hard, you know, to basically build that same, you know, fun part of it, right? And then when we got the criterias and they were like, okay, hey, guys, good, but you need ladies there, right? And you need ladies of that level. It was not any lady, right? It was you need that. And we're like, holy cow, how we do that, yeah?
So you're the only free in Poland.
What it means is
there is space for women. There is space for women in entrepreneurship and in Poland.
Exactly.
I think if we have women here,
they have to.
there is space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we got together like this.
Yeah.
Okay, it was forced at the beginning, but we like each other.
Yeah. Despite the moment. You have some truth and some things that got revealed, but basically we got like this. It was first the 5 boys, right? Because we knew each other, right? And then through that, right? The first one was Marta, then it was Lou, and then it was Carolina, right? And that's
we
how
had to fight together.
This is how we got all together, and then pretty quickly I think that was very clear that we didn't want to take ourselves too seriously, right? And that was the message we tried to give from the very beginning, that we don't know what this thing looks like, and let's try to just, have some fun with it, and while delivering some value, right? So what are the values we try to deliver?
Exactly, and that will be the conclusive word.
Okay, thank you for listening. Goodbye. No, but we're trying to do well. Despite just being around the community and trying to work with the community, we're trying to make some events, which we already did because we did 2 events last year. Like our first event at the CIC, which was like our presentation when we invited people and say, okay, here we are in Poland, here we are in Warsaw. We're just saying hello. And then the second event was for the 10 years of the La French Tech, which was celebrating 10 years all around the world. And we did an event, a very nice event, I think, and you all liked it. It was a good success when we invited about 80 people to come together and celebrate this 10 years. And now we have some good plans for this year. We planned a good event, big event on the 21st of March, which would be around artificial intelligence, also at the CIC.
Mm-hmm. CIC is the Cambridge Innovation Center.
Yeah,
it's
in the center.
in the center of Warsaw, next to the train station.
Yeah.
And it's really like, this is the place for all the tech in Warsaw for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is where the Venture Cafe happens every week. So it will be a Thursday from 5 to 8. So there will be like many workshops around artificial intelligence. Maybe you could say a few words about that because I'm not prepared.
So
No, maybe what we can just say there on this conference is going to be oriented really hands-on, concrete, not theoretical, not political, not whatever, sovereignty, whatever. We covered that part in the past. So it's really like, as you said in terms of businesses, how AI is going to disrupt our businesses. How AI is also a source of innovation, of opportunities, and is happening now. Everyone knows that they have to put their hands in this really, and we're going to try to get their hands with us. With like actors, we try to make coming from France. We are also selecting some actors in Poland in the field of AI. We have LLMs, for example. It's not all about ChatGPT, to be clear. There's also actor in France, if we talk about Eden AI, Hugging Face or Mistral AI, etc. Mm-hmm. And here in Poland, there is quite a lot of initiative too to make this happening between startup, corporate, and wide entrepreneurs and employees of any company, basically.
Yeah. There's as well the institutional aspect of our mission, right? Is that, we try to as well, we try to be an active member of the, what they call Team France, right? And Team France is basically meant to, aggregate or converge all the interest of France, on different markets, right? So you can include Business France, which is part of the embassy, which is a consulting firm that helps companies, spread towards France or bring them into the local markets. Here, in this case, the CE market, the Chamber, the French Chamber of Commerce, where actually Marta will be attending to some on Tuesday, right? She's gonna AI panel, right? So we stay in the same topic, right? And she's representing her company, but us as well, right? So that's to try to aggregate those interests, right, and all work together. There is as well the economical service of the embassy with whom we try to work, the cultural service as well, the research service, and then French Tech Krakow as well, with whom we are basically sharing the events, because it's called the French Tech Connect.
That's correct.
Yeah, chapter Warsaw for us, and then it's going to be chapter Krakow for them later on in June.
So it will be more oriented around the green tech.
Green tech for them, right? But then the other thing, like for example, one example was that one company reached out to us last year asking to how they can get to the French market. Just to give a concrete example, right? Because their founders were Ukrainian, American, and Polish. So the Polish one could go to France, no problem, but the American and Ukrainian couldn't because they needed a visa and all this process, right? With our connections and recommendations signed, they got a French tech visa, and now they are established in France, and they even raised $100,000, not from France, but from business angels through an accelerator and so on, a couple of weeks ago. And this is thanks, I wouldn't say to us, but this is something we can bring to the table. There is a French tech visa that is handled by business funds, but that goes through the French tech, through our recommendation. And this is a concrete example of a company that was able to move from this part of Europe to the western part of Europe, in this case France, thanks to this kind of mechanism, right? And then there is other programs in place, right? So our job is not just about building the community, but it's about
it goes both ways.
Yeah, exactly, right? Being a connector, right? Or companies, when we're at the FinTech Summit together with Aurélien, companies coming to us and asking us, how can I go to France, right, with my FinTech? And so what I was able to do was to connect with the French Tech headquarters. I asked for the French Tech France director's contact, which I got, and then basically making the connection between those companies from here looking to go there and say, this is the entity you have to talk to, right? Because this is what they do, this is a specialization. This is as well our job, right? It's not just about, our job, as long as we have time to do it and, beside of our other activities. Yeah?
And concretely also for the local community, because it goes further than, as you used to say, it's a French Tech Warsaw, so there is French and Warsaw.
Yeah.
So we plan to have like a breakfast.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we'll try to do them every month.
Yeah.
We hope to do that with partners, and either in restaurants in Warsaw, maybe in their premises.
Yeah.
We'll try to do some podcasts.
Yes,
So
that's
funnier
and nicer people than us, right?
So it will not be this format. It will be a format that is more confidential with 2-3 people, with some guests from the community first, from the institution, to explore a bit and to bring the information of what is happening around.
Yeah, but anyway, all that to say that it's a fun place to be. We're not segregating. We're not just French, as you said, not only Polish. We're a little bit of everything, a little bit of everywhere. And just come to us, and we'll be happy to share whatever we can with you. Yeah, that would be wonderful. Yeah.
It's a good conclusion for this one. So that was the Messy episode 0, and rendezvous in a month for the episode 1 that will be more serious about women in tech.
Actually, yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.